Well, first of all, I want to say, Philip, this is your 50th birthday, and it's making me feel very, very old. Philip was born on Labor Day, which, September 2nd, 1958. And he was a beautiful, beautiful baby, blonde, and not blue-eyed, of course, when he was born, and then brown-eyed. He was a very active child, and curious and into things. And as he got older, he was more curious and got into more things. And as his friends have probably talked about, he was into all kinds of cars and motors and buildings and destroying and reconstructing and doing all those kinds of things. But he was a very unusual child too, because along with being curious, he was very adventurous, and he wanted to try a lot of different things. Oh, one thing that I think will give everybody a chuckle is one time, I think he was about 6 or 7 years old at that time, and it was around Mother's Day, and he came home one day and presented me with this huge wreath that said Mother across it. As it turned out, we lived not too far from the cemetery, and so at one time he had gone in with his friend and seen this beautiful wreath that said Mother, and he brought it home for me. Needless to say, I was furious with him, and it didn't take us very long before he went back to the cemetery and took that wreath back. But he meant well. He was going to give me something for Mother's Day, and it was going to be that wreath that said Mother. I also remember that although Philip went to traditional camps for the summer, at one point he said to me that he really didn't like those kind of camps. He wanted a camp where he could do more adventurous things. And so we found a camp, and it was called Camp Darrow. And the owner came to visit us in February, you know, before the summer started, to tell us something about the camp. And I was absolutely dumbstruck when the owner started talking about the black flies that bite you during the summer, and living in the wilderness, and living in tents, and not having food, having to catch your own food, otherwise you don't eat. And the more he talked about this, and the more I was saying, no, 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 Philip was saying, yes, yes, this sounds wonderful. And of course, with Philip being persistent and saying he wanted an adventure, we decided to send him to Camp Darrow. And he went for the summer. And thank goodness, and I didn't know really what was going on, because this was a camp that was out in the wilderness. It could only be reached by seaplane and then portaging and all this kind of stuff. When I think about it now, I really, I'm amazed that I even allowed him to go. But he came back from that camp, and he had matured quite a bit. He was about 12, 13. It was just before he was going to be bar mitzvahed. And he could fish, he could hunt, he could cook. He was able to do everything as a result of that camp. And I really think that it played a major part in his development. Another story that comes to mind was when we went on a winter vacation with some of our Canadian cousins, and we went down to the Bahamas. And I was sitting talking with my cousin Evelyn, and Philip runs up and says he needed some money to buy a fish hook. I said, what do you need a fish hook for? And he said, we're going to catch sharks. And I think he was about 15 at that point. He had met some local boys down at the docks, and they were going to show him how to catch a shark. And I didn't think much of it until a little while later he called me and told me to come see the shark that they had caught. And I saw this humongous shark. It must have been about between 4 and 5 feet long, thrashing on the dock. I had never seen anything like this. And the thought that he with his friends actually caught this thing was absolutely amazing. Anyhow, after I got over my initial shock, I was just amazed at what these kids had done. And now how are they going to dispose of this shark now that they have it here? Well, Philip wanted a trophy. And so I don't remember who cut out the shark teeth, but he came home with the jaw of this shark wrapped in a paper towel, and it had soaked in bleach or something so that there was no odor to this. But anyhow, it was a memorable vacation for me, and I'm sure for Philip too. He's been a great son. I don't think many people have been fortunate to have the kind of relationship that I have with Philip, and I would trust him with anything. He's there for me and I'm there for him. And now that he has his own son, I think he appreciates more what parenting is all about, and the difficult times you can have and the good times that you can have. And I think because he values family and traditions so much that he's trying to be the best kind of dad he can be to Nate. And I love him, and I'll always be there for him if I can ever help him, because he's always helped me out so much. I know, Philip, that you did not want a surprise party, that you did not want a videotape, but we all love you so much. I don't know if you remember my surprise birthday party, but it was wonderful and I really appreciated it. But we're getting back at you now because we're giving you this 50th birthday party. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed my party. I love you, Philip.
If Phil is turning 50, that would mean that he and I have been playing together for about 50 years. And that would include 100,000 days in Eastchester at the house where he used to live, where he grew up, and at our house in New Rochelle where I grew up as young cousins playing together because we were so close in age, and both being boys looking to get into trouble. And we both had an affinity for cars and developed an interest in cars, and Phil had a lot of very cool cars over the years. Oh, he had a 1970 Pontiac Formula 400 that was bright red, fire engine red, that was the hottest car you ever saw. To this day I sort of keep an eye out looking for one of those to see if I can get it again. It was hot, it was beautiful, it sounded great, and he was very proud of it. He had a lot of cars. I remember almost every one of his cars because I'm that kind of a nut, but that was a real cherry. When we were younger, we spent a lot of time on a regular basis with family. Family gatherings. My grandfather often got both sides of the family together for dinners, sometimes regularly to Tung Hoi in Larchmont for Chinese food on Sundays, and a lot of good memories. And I think it was probably there that Phil developed a special passion, maybe appreciation is a better word, for family that he has. He feels that they're important and valuable in life, and I agree with him. And he works hard at that, and it's not always so easy, as we all know. Sometimes family relationships are more worthy of a punch in the nose than a hug and a kiss. Phil Gussack is the only brother I've got on this earth. He's a steadfast supporter, friend, and a relative that is always there for you, no matter what you do, no matter what trouble you've gotten into. He'll always back you up. He's always there for a joke or a beer, go have a good time and relax. He's a very loving individual, and you can feel it. And you can feel it, he makes it clear. He's not bashful about it in his own way. And I love him too. So congratulations on your 50th. Let's see if we can slap together 50 more.